On this episode of See Indonesia, we continue our adventure in Bali with our friends from Ticket.com and their Ticket to Do category. This time, however, instead of searching for thrills, I would be searching for peace. And during that search for peace, I found some truly wonderful places and some truly beautiful sights. Come see the beauty only on See Indonesia.
See Indonesia.
We began our journey in the pursuit of peace in a seemingly ordinary Starbucks from the outside, which, when you come in, is much more extravagant than any other Starbucks that you might have seen. And it is extravagant indeed, because this is no ordinary Starbucks. In fact, this is the Starbucks Reserve, one of only two in Indonesia that hosts a wide variety of coffee from all around the world. Let's take a look. Such is the sheer size of the collection of coffee available in the Starbucks Reserve, and such is the amount of things that you can do to learn about the production of coffee, from the seeds in the fields to the cup in your hands, that it's less of a cafe and more of a museum. They even had interactive displays where you could learn about the many kinds of machines used in the product of coffee, as well as exhibits where you could learn about the history of Starbucks in Indonesia, including the ways in which they empower Indonesian coffee farmers. Today, however, I wanted to try their latte art class in hopes of finding peace through focus. Where can you register to join this class, you may ask? Well, of course, through our friends from Ticket.com, where through their Ticket to Do category, you can browse for a wide variety of activities at whatever destinations you desire. So why not check it out? Anyway, as I sat down to participate in this class, weirdly, out of nowhere appeared a mysterious mustached man who sat in the seat next to me. However, our class facilitator, a man named Henzo, was more than happy to accommodate.
Jadi sebelumnya saya mau perkenalkan dulu nih. Kakak namanya siapa?
Saya namanya Messi.
Kakak Messi dan?
Aku Pohyo.
Kak Pohyo.
Henzo proceeded to teach us about the basics of tasting coffee, which, as it turned out, required a lot of focus and thus a form of meditation. To be the coffee, first, you must smell the coffee. Salut. And second, you must slurp the coffee and taste the sensations in your mouth. Very strong hint of tobacco. Just a tiny little bit of banana. Very nice. And it's so light as well. Very light. And now that I am an expert coffee taster, it was time for me to transform into an expert latte artist. But before that, I had to change into my outfit. That's the ticket. And with Henzo helping me get familiarized with the machines, I was on my way to becoming a master. Yes, as you can see from my face, no confusion whatsoever. And in no time, I was finally able to start the machine.
Et voila.
What magic! Oh, it smells so delicious in here, it's crazy. And now, for the milk. Now, we pour some milk into this little container here. Just about there. And then we, a little closer, we tap ini emang and with absolutely no help at all from anyone, my masterpiece was complete. No, not this one. There you go. And now there's only one thing left to do. Oh God. Oh, absolutely delicious. Perfect even. Perfect latte for me. And with me giving myself a 10 out of 10, it was time to move on to our next peaceful destination. This is the Plataran Ubud Hotel and Spa. A hotel that you can book through ticket.com, which when you use the promo code TICKET@SeeIndo can get you a discount of 70% plus an additional 5% up to 500,000 rupiah. Anyway, as you can see, from the moment you walk in, to the moment you check in, to the moment you step into your room, the vibes are indeed very peaceful. As with the philosophy that is followed by Plataran, the room is quite modern and yet has that distinctive Indonesian traditional splash to it. And so you see many details in the room that show this mix together, and it is a very beautiful mix indeed. Very contemporary and yet very, very traditional. Meanwhile, the walls are adorned by meticulously made pieces of decor, details that truly bring this room alive. And so, getting into the room, it doesn't really feel homey. It feels more like an art museum, really, especially with all of these details, such as this lamp over here, and some of the details in the bathroom as well. It is absolutely beautiful. Don't get me wrong though, it is extremely cozy indeed. Cozy and comfortable, that's for sure. But what if, like me at the time, your back was aching and you needed a remedy? Luckily, this spa at Plataran provides a very relaxing traditional Balinese massage, and with it, a choice of various oils for you to be basted in. The oil she's currently using is Deva oil, made of sandalwood and other ingredients as well. And like the name, it is indeed very divine. Oh. job.
See the beauty? Only on See Indonesia.
After our stay at Plataran and feeling peaceful from the night before, I wanted to keep the ball rolling. And so I headed to the Saba Bay Winery, where I was hoping to indulge in a relaxing wine tasting session. A wine tasting session which, of course, was provided by our friends from Ticket.com through their Ticket to Do category. Now, if you've ever shopped for wine in Jakarta, you'll know for sure what Saba Bay is. This company is widely regarded to produce the highest quality Indonesian wine available in the market. And there's a pretty good reason for that. Such is the obsession that they have with their quality that they have in fact changed the kind of bottles that they use from these regular bottles to these more UV resistant black bottles imported from other countries. Why, you may ask? Because light comes in and that changes the wine, and you do not want that for that kind of wine. Moreover, many of the techniques and technology used to make their wine are more advanced than you might think. Their distiller, for example, was imported and made from copper to ensure that heat is dispersed evenly during the process to create a uniform distillation. Meanwhile, the requirements for their fermentation tanks were so specific that each and every single one in this winery was made bespoke to their liking. And the taste must be so consistent that only 3 people in all of Indonesia are given permission to perform quality control checks on their products. And the result of all of this attention to detail? Ooh, it's very nice. It's very tangy, I believe is the right word. Very good, very smooth as well. And quite sweet. I can imagine it goes very well with some desserts, actually. Being Indonesian, however, the makers of Saba Bay wanted to ensure that their wine fits perfectly with all kinds of Indonesian cuisine. And so with the reserve white they provided, they also gave us cassava chips with Manado chili for us to sample.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. It makes the cassava chips much more strong with its taste. And with the chili too. It makes the taste better. This is the first time I've had any kind of wine that goes really well with Indonesian food, and I love that for it. I love that. It's small wonder then that they've won awards in wine competitions around the world, chief among which was an award from the AWC Vienna International Wine Challenge in 2015. And with the quality of its production, you might think that Saba Bay owns hundreds of hectares of vineyard where they have complete control over every single aspect. But that, as it turned out, just ain't so. So unlike most wine companies around the world, Saba Bay doesn't actually own their own vineyards. As a matter of fact, they take their grapes from local farms in the Singaraja region of Bali, with the reason being so that the farmers can have possess their own power to make their own choices about their land. And so, knowing this, I felt very relaxed indeed when tasting the wine and eating the food. Oh, it's so good.
See the beauty? Only on See Indonesia.
Having searched for peace in coffee through making latte art at the Starbucks Reserve, and through wine tasting at Saba Bay, it was time for me to find peace through a taster of living like the Balinese. And so I went here, to the Ujung Water Palace, also known as Sukasada. Consisting of 5 main buildings and 3 pools, this century-old park was originally a holiday retreat built for the king of Karangasem in the early 20th century. In fact, even up to the present day, this park is still owned by the royal family. And as you can see, befitting of its purpose, this park feels unbelievably serene, with the main building in particular being very comfortable. This is Balai Gili. It is the private residence of the king and his royal family in this park. And when you step in, it is extremely cool. Very breezy, as a matter of fact. Perfect, really, for the residency of the king himself. The reason for this cool air comes from its design, with the hall surrounded from all sides by massive open windows. And the cool air coming in truly made a relaxing atmosphere. Interestingly, however, as I walked through Balai Gili, I noticed several doors which could not be opened. As it turned out, these doors led to the private rooms of the king and the queen. And their space is considered to be so sacred that nobody but the king and queen themselves may enter these rooms. Strolling out of the residence and into the outdoors, I noticed a building situated at the top of a hill. Curious to know more, I walked up the steps and entered Balai Kapal. This hauntingly beautiful hall was once the greeting place of the guests of the royal family. And you can see why. From Balai Kapal, or Ship Hall, you can see the entire complex of this park, beginning with the villa over there, as well as this massive square over here with the Indonesian flag, and another court over there. That court apparently was used for judgment of moral actions of people in the past. However, the view served another purpose, alongside welcoming guests with a grand scenery. Interestingly, Balai Kapal wasn't just used by the royalty to welcome the guests, but also by the king to look across the Lombok Strait for any ships that crossed into the area. Beautiful, isn't it? And walking around this former palace made me feel like royalty on holiday. Such high status, however, wasn't something that everyone had the privilege to be. And so I left again to wander in search of a more humble place. This is where I found myself. This is a Tenganan village, and it is unlike most other neighborhoods in Bali. In fact, this society was very secluded until the 70s when they made contact with the local government. Make no mistake though, because the community of Tenganan has maintained the traditional lifestyle that its people have undergone for hundreds of years.
The Tenganan village is traditional in the purest sense. These buildings are probably hundreds of years old, and as you can see, still very much use the traditional method of red brick and mortar in their architecture. Yeah, bu. And thus, as you can see as well, the layout is very closely packed between each buildings, and each building is only made of a single story. Now, this means that all of its residents are forced to come out of their houses and interact with one another, creating a very, very strong sense of community in this area.
This village had exactly the kind of life I wanted to sample. And perhaps it was the community, or the silence, or the chickens walking around in freedom that invoked a feeling of peace within. And surprisingly, the final place we would be staying in created a similar feeling. This is the Ramayana Candidasa Resort, provided by our friends from Ticket.com, and it is unlike any other resort I've ever been to. Sure, there are typical features such as pools for you to relax in, a restaurant where you can eat, and lounges by the sea. The stay area, however, is anything but typical because it feels like a neighborhood. And the rooms feel more like small houses. I especially love the space and layout of the room, with the bathroom in particular invoking a sense of familiarity.
Oh my god, that smells so nice. It smells like lilac.
And finally, what made it truly feel livable was the area that resembled a little kitchen.
It truly is as cozy as your own home, but with the practicalities and the comforts of a resort. I can stay here for days, weeks, months on end.
Even stepping out into the balcony felt very homey.
And even from above, it still feels like a village, not a resort, in the best possible way. I mean, instead of seeing concrete buildings, you see roofs and trees and this beautiful mountain that sits at the back. It truly is like nothing else I've ever experienced before.
Meanwhile, outside they even had a mini golf course, as well as a stage for a driving range into the ocean, with the balls of course provided by the hotel.
Worry not, because these balls are actually made of biodegradable materials, and even better, they have fish food inside of them. So, the only thing you need to do is whack the balls to feed the fish.
And so, whack the balls I did. And this was actually surprisingly relaxing. But, as it turns out, this wasn't the most relaxing place you could be at the Ramayana. In fact, they had a Zen garden at the back where you could host events or perhaps even just do your own thing. And so, I did. And it was during this moment that I was able to reflect upon my activities in Bali and whether they really helped to bring me to a peaceful state of mind. And you know what? After putting my focus into making art on lattes at the Starbucks Reserve, relaxing through a bit of wine tasting at Saba Bay, and strolling through both the Ujung Water Palace and the Tenganan Village, I truly felt at peace.